Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the N.H.K. I'm your host, EJ the DJ. And today we have a very, very special surprise guest, Mr. Jonah, Mr. Advice Keen himself.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for having me. I didn't expect an invite, but I'm very glad I got it in my email.
Thank you so much for coming. I know you are. I am personally a new fan of yours. I met you through a mutual friend, Yun. I am now a new converted advice head. I know you've been an advice giver for over 10 years now.
Yes, and I'm a licensed advice giver, so it's really difficult to get the license. A lot of people know this.
Yeah.
You have to work, you have to study days in, days out to get this license so you can give certified advice. And it's been about 10 years, you're correct. So thank you for acknowledging that. Not a lot of people do that.
Yeah, I know. I respect, like when I saw your name come up on your email, it says Jonah Keen AD for advice, like that you are a certified advice giver.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very, I gave you kind of like that. I have like this respect for you,
I really do appreciate it, and it's finally some due respect because honestly, recently I haven't been getting a lot of that from a few people. We'll talk about that later, though.
Yes. But as like a professional advice giver, I know you've been doing this since you were a kid. You're a professional podcaster as well. I wanted to hit you up with some advice rapid fire.
Okay.
All right. So
does that mean it'll be really quick?
Well,
like a gun, machine gun, or a semi-automatic gun? I just learned about these things.
Oh, okay. Like more so like a Uzi, a Glock.
I don't know what those are.
They're like guns.
I understand, but I don't.
An Uzi is like bursts, like in bursts, like in bursts. Yeah.
This is some great gun advice.
Yeah.
I might take this and put it on my show.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to help. I'm always happy to inform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But first off, I personally am not a father. I know you are a father.
I am. Yes.
Yeah. So, like, congratulations to your two kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like Johnny and Sarah.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
These are my two children.
I don't know if I'll ever get to that point, but I want to hear your advice on up-and-coming fathers and even like experienced around the block fathers. Like what advice would you give them?
Well, it's a little difficult to comment on this right now because I haven't seen my children in about a year.
Yeah, I'm sorry
because
about that.
of the divorce and all that.
Yeah.
However, I would say bonding time.
Bonding time?
Whether it's giving them advice, teaching them how to give advice, reading some advice books to them before they go to bed.
Yeah.
These small little insignificant acts you might consider insignificant make a big difference in a child. Like they'll remember this years and years later. They'll remember that one night you read one of Albert Howard's famous advice books out loud, and you read all 400 pages to them, and they were about to fall asleep, and you woke them up because it was about to get good.
Yeah.
They'll remember that, and I think that is some great parenting advice just right there.
I mean, yeah.
Just spend time with them.
Spend time with them, advice. I think, that's a big part of it. And
not necessarily advice for everyone. Not everyone out there is a certified advice giver.
Okay.
But for me personally, it looks like reading advice books and teaching them how to give advice and giving them advice and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. Would you say personally, like Johnny and Sarah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they are kind of honing in and forming their advice giving skills, or do you think one is better than the other?
They're young still.
They're young.
They're very young. They're Johnny's 5.
Okay.
And Sarah, I believe, is 2 or 3. I don't know if I missed the birthday. It's been a year. You got to give me some grace. But I don't know yet because I honestly haven't seen them in a year. I don't know how their advice skills are keeping up. But I sure as hell tried my very best.
That's good. I mean, as long as I think, A for effort. And I know this is a touchy subject, but we're getting to the another rapid fire advice giving. What would you give? What advice would you give for those who are divorced? I know you are divorced to Jonah Keen, and I know that that's been a hard toll on you. But how do you cope with that? How do you help? How would you? I don't know. It's a tough topic.
I didn't know we were going to be talking about this.
I'm sorry.
Here's my advice, and this is from Mr. Advice, so it's very important advice.
Yes.
Don't give up. Never give up on your significant other. If they divorce you, if they send in the papers, do not sign them.
Okay.
Do not agree to anything.
Yeah.
Never give up on them.
What's
If they're trying to take the kids from you, keep SMS messaging them with your phone or emailing them or sending letters. Do not give up. And if they don't love you anymore and you still love them, pursue that. Keep trying to love them, even when they say no.
Yeah. There's no boundary to the leaps. And
Love is a mysterious language that I have fortunately been able to learn through the power of advice.
Okay.
Pretty much.
You think as a certified advice giver, do you think that that's kind of amplified your abilities in being a lover?
I've given, a lot of people know this. The 4 pillars of advice are pet advice, so financial advice, self-help advice, and relationship advice. And sex, I think, would fall under both relationship advice and pet advice.
Pet advice.
Yes.
Oh, I'm catching on.
Because pets also have sex.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. I never really thought about that. I always thought, once you get a pet, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just multiply like asexually.
No.
I never thought that it's like they're like living. They're actually like people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's been.
It's true.
That's kind of a game changer for me.
In fact, I didn't really know this either until, I saw a dog on the street.
Oh.
With another dog.
Okay.
And
thankfully.
They call it doggy style. But I don't really want to get into this right now. I know this is probably a family-friendly show.
Yeah.
So I won't get into the details.
No,
but
there
there was a dog penis and a dog vagina, and one went into the other. I won't say which, just for the kids at home.
Yeah.
But there was a penis and a vagina.
Okay. I mean that cleared a lot of things up for me because I was a little bit blurred up.
Is this rapid fire advice really that quick? I feel like I've been taking it pretty slowly. But I like to elaborate. I like to make sure
that's fine.
No advice heads out there are confused.
Yeah.
I want to elaborate, make sure all the details are in.
Yeah, like as you said before, famously, life is about making the things that are confusing not confusing anymore. So, I appreciate the time. Like
that's what it says in the Bible, the Quran. It says that in all the books, but the most important book would
be...
New
Testament. In the New Testament.
It's true.
They actually added that. It used to not be on there.
In the New Living Version, that's correct. I'm glad you've been keeping up on Bible advice.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And I might actually, I guess I'll announce it to the show. I'm actually working on a book, and that is on the very first page.
Wow.
I have not talked about this on the show yet. I haven't talked about any previous podcasts, but I've been working on a book for about, give or take, 6 years now.
6 years?
Mm-hmm.
Dang. I'm excited. I'm definitely going to buy a copy.
Actually, let's see if you can guess it. What do you think the book is about?
Let me think. I don't know.
Advice.
Oh. I thought it would be about guns.
We are not covering guns on in the book.
Yeah.
Just because I want it for all ages, and I know some babies can't actually buy guns if they went to the store.
I think that's not right.
Which is why I don't do alcohol advice. Well, actually, there's 2 reasons why I don't do alcohol advice, but one of the reasons is because certain people can't buy alcohol because they're underage.
That's true.
And I don't want to exclude them when it comes to the advice.
Mm-hmm.
But the other reason I don't do alcohol advice is because I have a problem with gin specifically.
Gin? What about with juice?
With juice?
Yeah, do you drink too much juice?
Uh,
Is your blood pressure high, or blood sugar more specifically?
Well, let's just say you don't want to catch me in a room alone with a tall glass of cranberry juice.
Okay, I'll keep that noted. Next time, if I'm offering you a refreshment, I'll ask first. Are you in the right mind space for some cranberry juice? And if you are, yeah, sure.
I will just
Let it
stick
fly.
to my water. But thank you for offering.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know the the journey. I'm laughing because it's hard for me to take topics in a serious sense, but I don't know what journey you kind of been through with cranberry juice. So sorry.
Well, no, I think it's really good juice. But for alcohol, there's a lot more going on there.
Yeah.
There's a dense and layered history.
The prohibition.
No, in my personal life
Oh.
and experience with alcohol.
Okay.
When it comes to gin specifically.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think you gave good, like, extremely good advice to, like, future or current divorcees about, like, always never give up, like, persist.
Don't
Yeah.
let them divorce you. Love was meant to be shared for a lifetime, and
Yeah.
if they're trying to not share it, keep it to themselves, well, I've already sent some letters to the Constitution where they keep the Constitution so they can edit it, and add divorce should be illegal, because in some countries it is, and they are much smarter than I guess the United States.
You think we're underdeveloped in that sense?
Yes, I really do, especially Aruba, which is probably the best country in the world.
Yeah.
Like-
I agree. Aruba's cool.
It's the only country I visited outside the United States.
Yeah.
When I worked for a previous company, I'd use all the money I got from them to go to Aruba, go to the hotel there, and chill out in the pool. And Aruba is probably one of the greatest places.
Well, it seems like you're somewhat of a bachelor of sorts, and, like, chilling out in the pool down in Aruba.
Ever since the divorce, the divorce kind of stemmed from that loss of that job,
Yeah.
which I was using the money from to pay for the trips to Aruba, and not
Yeah.
necessarily for the well-being of my family.
I know. Unfortunately.
But let's just keep doing the rapid fire questions. I feel like we keep
Yeah.
going
Like
off
going off
track.
on a tangent. But it's good.
Tangents are good.
Tangents
I
are
agree.
good.
I agree.
Tangent, sin, cosine, they're great. I
Huh?
love math.
I don't understand.
Oh, it's okay. But anyway, on the opposite side of a divorce, what about you're getting into the dating game, okay? You're getting into the dating game. What are the tricks of the trade that explain the art of pulling? Like how would one, in an advice head perspective, approach a date?
Well, I think I should start this. This is a multi-layered question.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I could start with a story.
Okay.
In fact, of how I met my wife,
Yeah.
Jonah Keen. And we are still married, but she is trying to divorce me, just to make sure the status is clear to everyone listening at home.
Yeah.
We met at a Dairy Queen. I don't know if they have those in Chicago. I'm new to the city.
We have Dairy Queen. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
I was standing in line,
Okay.
and I was trying to get a Blizzard. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah.
They sell those at Dairy Queen. And I was waiting in line, and I ended up falling. There was a wet floor sign. I didn't see it. Stupid me.
Yeah.
And I ended up falling.
Yeah.
And I turned around, and right behind me was, at the time I didn't know, but the love of my life, Jenna, at the time, Robertson,
Mm-hmm.
but soon to be Jonah Keen.
Keen. Yeah.
And I said, I fell, obviously.
Fell in love.
I said, I literally fell for you. I said
Oh,
that.
That's slick.
It's
That's
very
slick.
clever. I've never heard anyone say that
I've
before.
never heard that.
I
can't believe you did you write that
prior?
prior?
No, I did it right off the top of my head.
Wow.
I know. Wow. I'm so proud of that moment in my life.
Yeah.
I tell that story almost every day. I love that story.
I mean, it's a great story. I
It's
don't
such a
think
good-
I'm witty enough to, like, What? That's
I know.
crazy.
And then we ended up eating our blizzards together.
Okay.
And the rest is history, including the divorce, which is not legal yet.
So
So
then it's not they're not official.
So I guess back to the question, to the bachelors, I guess, or what was the question again? I'm a little confused.
It's more of like how yeah, to the bachelors, to the ladies, to the wall, the windows and all. But it's more of just like for the bachelors, how do you go about a date? How do you make a successful date happen?
Well, in my case, fall down in line somewhere
On purpose or on accident? Do you have to trigger it?
I'm giving full permission to everyone listening, all the advice heads out there. You have permission to steal my move, to steal the story, and to actually fall down in front of a girl you like it and say, I literally fell for you. I'm giving permission to everyone out there. You have full permission from me. I will not copyright strike you if you do this.
There you go.
I think it's a great first move. It's how me and my wife met, and I think it's a great story, and I think it's great advice.
I think so too. I know you've been having a little bit of trouble with your wife, but I know you're strong enough to get through it. I feel that. But you also have a sort of disconnect with your father, Terry. How would you advise the audience to like work around their personal issues with their fathers, like daddy issues themselves?
Well, if the listeners who don't know, recently I interviewed my father, Terry Keen.
Yeah.
Yes. And he just doesn't really approve of my lifestyle, specifically the lifestyle of advice. He thinks I should have approached the car business, the automotive. He has his own automotive shop, Terry Keen Automotive, which is, in my opinion, a dirty place. I would not recommend anyone go there.
Okay.
Unless you're in the Indianapolis area and you want to get ripped off. Go Pacers. However, he's still my father. Yes. I still have to acknowledge the roots. He wasn't the best father to me, but I still I refuse to cut him off because family is blood, and if you run out of blood, you die.
That's true.
That's some medical advice.
And pet advice.
And pet advice. Because pets have blood.
They have blood.
So that falls under 2 of the 4 pillars.
Yeah.
But the question was how to keep a father-son relationship going. Is that kind of the question?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I would say just phone calls, find things you both enjoy. For me and my dad, it's basketball and football. But he likes the Bulls and I like the Pacers. So there's a little rivalry that's going on there, but sometimes it goes a little far.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I used to have my favorite Pacer pillow.
Pacer pillow?
I had the Indianapolis Pacers. It was a pillowcase.
Yeah.
And one day, well, it was a preseason game.
Okay.
And the Bulls whooped. I don't like to say this out loud, but the Bulls whooped the Pacers. The Bulls won.
Yeah.
And he was so happy that he threw my Pacers pillow into the fireplace, and there was smoke, and I ended up crying and running out. And that's actually the last time I saw him in person.
In person?
Mm-hmm.
How long ago was this? Like,
it was, I think a few weeks after the wedding.
Okay.
And then ever since then, I keep it to...
I don't think that's warranted.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of like in the honeymoon phase, and now like you grab your most prized possession in front of you, and you shake it in front of your face and throw it in the fireplace. I don't think that was warranted.
No, I don't think so. Well, that's why I don't talk to him in person anymore. We do it all over the phone.
On the phone, yeah.
And in fact, the most recent show, well, not the most recent show, but the first show on the Jonah Keen Show on Radio DePaul, 3:30 to 4 p.m. CT Central Time.
Yes.
He ended up calling in, and we got in an argument, and he brought up the pillow story. But we still talk on the phone every now and again. And I think it's just to keep our relationship going, not to completely cut it off. He's still blood, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
You can't live without blood. medical advice, pet advice.
You're dead.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
gone.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You read my mind.
Well, that was pretty much the end of kind of the quick advice.
That was really quick.
Yeah, and yeah, it was kind of short, but you were really well in depth. But now we're kind of getting into let's talk about more about you, Jonah. And I was just curious with your whole your father. He wants you to, of course, take the family business, Terry. And I was just wondering if you have any disdain. Do you have any disdain or grief against cars now? Like, do you have kind of like a PTSD against automotives in any sense? And what has this kind of pressure to take over the family business, how has that impacted you? Like, how do you feel about that?
Well, I own a car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not anymore. I used to own a car, a little navy blue '06 Volkswagen Bug Beetle.
Those are fast.
They are one of the fastest cars in all of the world.
I know. I think they're actually banned. I looked this up. They are banned from street races. It's illegal. It is illegal to.
I know. Well, I shouldn't have sold it then. I ended up selling it just a few.
You sold it?
Just a few months ago to pay for my first year at DePaul.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I don't really have any other sources of income right now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So I ended up selling most of the things I own just so I can come to the school.
Mm-hmm.
However, that's an interesting question, but I don't think it applies to me. Cars are fine. I don't have any fears of cars. I think I'm okay.
But what about the pressure with your dad? Like, oh, you have to support the family business. Like, you are the heir to the kingdom of what is Terry Automotives in like a, it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, I try to make sure he doesn't talk about that a lot because he's always trying to bring it up. Stop doing your advice. No one listens to it. It's horrible advice.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of shut that out and I say, I'm going to stick to what I'm good at, advice, and you stick to what you're good at, automotives, work in the dealership.
Yeah.
And we're going to split. We're going to go different ways on when it comes to careers. And I don't think he's come to terms with that, but I've definitely come to terms with my career, which is advice.
I know your career is advice, but you kind of came back to DePaul to like learn more about yourself and kind of like learn more of just like about the world. And I know your major is theater.
Yes.
And you're passionate. You're very passionate. You have a passionate relationship with theater combat. And I was just curious, what sparked this theater combat dream? How did this all develop for Jonah?
Well, it all started when I was a young one. I would watch movies like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Or, that was a little later in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But those action movies, and it's just movie magic.
Yeah.
But then one day I went to go see, I believe it was Matilda.
Okay.
On Broadway.
Oh, on Broadway.
My Terry and my mom and dad, they took me to the show, and there was actual fighting on stage, and I went, what? There's no movie magic. How are they fighting on stage?
Yeah.
And during that show, that's when I fell in love with stage combat. And I just think it's really awesome. How can they fight but not actually get hurt?
Yeah. I saw Matilda as well, and what surprised me was the scene where the teacher lady, I'm not very good with names, so the teacher lady grabbed a student by the ponytails, flung her around, and threw her off the stage.
I know. And there was no ambulance, there was no 911 call, there was no sense of urgency, and I was wondering, what has this society become? I'm so happy we're on the same page. And the matter of the fact is that person didn't even get hurt.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
How does that happen?
There's no movie magic going on.
There's no CGI.
There's no CGI. There's no
She-Hulk.
No.
There's no it's just it's mind-boggling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized on my resume, when the only skill is advice on my resume, it doesn't look as good.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided to go to DePaul and and pursue this passion I've had
Uh-huh.
even further. So I'm a theater major, concentration, stage combat, and hopefully my resume will look a lot better
Yeah.
with advice and then stage
Stage
combat
combat. Yeah.
instructor.
Yes.
I think both of those will look really good on my resume.
I think they kind of like intertwine pretty well too. Like if you think about it, there's 4 pillars in advice, and there's 4 pillars in stage combat. Okay, you know what I mean?
I've only taken the intro classes. I don't know a lot about stage combat yet.
Not yet. Okay.
But I am hoping to learn the 4 pillars. Did you say of stage combat?
4 pillars of stage combat.
I'm hoping that I'm surprised you know so much about it. I haven't found a lot of other stage combat people.
I read an essay called Stage Combat for Dummies, and it was written by Sherry Circle. She just graduated from Stanford about 2 years ago, and she's obsessed with stage combat. And the 4 pillars are this: fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's that's deep.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting 1. 2, brawling, and then 3. What was it?
Oh, I know these.
Do you know these?
Because I took Stage Combat 101, and they talked kind of about the first 2, fighting and brawling.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 was wrestling and magic. Because the magic is the fact that no one's getting hurt. So it's really a it's a skill you need if you want to learn stage combat. Magic is an essential part.
Yeah.
Am I right? Is this exactly?
No, you're exactly right.
Because
Sherry Turkle talked about magic, and she explained that magicians have a kind of theatricality about them, and she talked about meta theatricality and how like they kind of like make illusions, like these things called illusions, to like
that's right.
further their fighting, innate fight or flight instinct within themselves. Sorry, I got a little bit of something in my throat.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, as magic in a general sense is kind of like a interest for young people, and I was always curious about how you have accumulated so much advice, knowledge, and wisdom, and you're just 25 years old, and like how is that possible? How did you condense all this advice into yourself? Like, how did that become?
I have the perfect answer for you. A lot of kids, they don't really know what they want to do with their life when they're young. Like in middle school, they'll try soccer team. Maybe they'll do swim club. Maybe they'll do math club. Maybe they'll do theater. Maybe they'll do tennis.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do chess club. Maybe they'll do tennis club, the girls' version. Maybe they'll do football. Maybe they'll do science club. Maybe they'll participate in the science fair, but they won't stick to one thing. I was always the advice guy. Instead of doing all those clubs I listed, I did advice. I read the advice books. I gave advice. I practiced advice.
That's right.
And I didn't even realize it until one day I remember I was sitting there. I was already a advice, like I already had my license and everything.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really, I kind of gave up for a bit. I was kind of at a low point. And
Yeah.
my friend Ralph, he said, Jonah, you have so much great advice. They should call you Mr. Advice. And right when he said that, it's like the whole room stood still. I saw my life flashing before my eyes.
Yeah.
My whole life's been leading up to advice. And I got so excited. I started shaking up and down. I had a Bud Light. And it was one of the best nights of my life.
That sounds like riveting. Like you finally, someone pointed it out to you, and then finally it hits you, and you're like, yes.
I know. My purpose was revealed. It wasn't the Christian God or the Muslim God. It was advice.
It was Ralph specifically.
Ralph helped me.
Who enlightened you.
Yes.
Who enlightened you.
Ralph's my very good friend. We spent a lot of time together at Dave & Buster's, which is my favorite place to eat and drink.
Oh.
And watch the big game on the TV.
Me too.
Go Pacers.
I know. This is kind of like an off tangent, but I was just curious because I've been listening to your show a little bit, and I was just kind of like wondering there's a lot of kerfuffles. There's a lot of state kerfuffles, like I remember you said once in Maryland, you thought that was only a place where people got married, right? And there's
Right.
Virginia. That's where all the virgins live. And I know there was a stress with you coming to Virginia. You of course have children, which is implied.
It's implied that I had sexual relations with my wife, and those
Yes.
allegations are true.
Yes, and of course, after your mom's divorce, you moved to Minnesota, which is a common. Like I personally, when someone's like, "I'm going to Minnesota," I was always thinking a vending machine, a can of Coke,
Exactly.
mini Coke.
I'm glad I'm not the only one, because some people looked at me funny when I said that.
Yeah,
I got some letters after that show saying, "Jonah, what? Are you stupid?"
yeah.
And I really appreciate that you also felt the same way. I don't feel like I'm alone when it comes to Minnesota.
Yeah, no, Minnesota's that's a toughie.
It's really confusing. It's a confusing name.
Yeah.
Just call it cold, barren wasteland, and then I'll know exactly what you're talking about.
No, but that could also be like Poland or Russia.
America's
Oh,
state, cold, barren wasteland.
okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I think that's right. But anyway, back to the question. I was just wondering if has there been any pre-existing beliefs or notions or like kerfuffles you had with Illinois, and then also like how do you feel now living in Illinois? Has those stereotypes, kerfuffles, or anything you believed before changed or amplified?
Well, I'm kind of new to Chicago. As you know, I've only been here for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And when I originally arrived here, I heard some preconceived notion that there was one murder a day here, on average.
Yeah, like per capita.
Per capita,
Yeah.
one murder per day.
Yeah.
And so far, I haven't seen a single person die. And so I think
It's a safe place.
that is just a lie made up by maybe a rival city like Nashville or Kansas City. These cities, I think, are jealous of Chicago, and they're spreading this false information, like putting it on social media,
Yeah.
hiring bloggers to write about it.
So it's
Where
a farce.
I think it's false, because I have not seen with my own eyes anyone get murdered here so far.
That's just statistics, like you lived here for how many months?
It's been about 3 months.
3 months. That's a long time. That's a quarter of a year. You would at least see one person get murdered. At the least, not 5 people get murdered.
Right. It's
Yeah.
been about almost 100 days at this point.
Yeah.
Where are the murders?
Where are the murders at?
Where are the dead bodies? I want to inspect them myself.
Yeah. But like also, talking about your dad and the Bulls and Pacer rivalry, right? Do you feel like a evil presence sort of? Now they're kind of in the home of the bull home,
I try
the
not
bull
to.
house.
I try not to think about it.
Okay.
Sometimes you're right. Sometimes I'll feel that presence.
Yeah,
that
the aura.
that rival team. And when that happens, I'll get my new Pacer pillow, and I'll get my new Pacer blankets.
Oh, a new one. You
I got a new
replaced
one.
it.
I replaced it.
Nice.
And new
Is it-
blankets,
Is it hyperallergenic though?
and new, yes, of course, new comforter, all Pacer themed, and I'll cuddle with my blankets, and I'll
Nice.
feel extra warm, and I'll remember Pacers are where my heart is at.
Well, it's good that you're fighting that pre-existing notion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy for you. You're finally here. I'm happy I'm finally meeting you as a new fan and advice head. But we need to talk about what's happening in the news currently. There's 2 people specifically that need advice most at this very moment, and I think coming from you, it would mean a lot. It could probably change your life. No, it will change your life. Complete 180. So, kind of advice on the news, opinions on the news,
Okay.
and let's kind of get into it. So, for weeks, Kanye Amari West, formerly known as Kanye West, has been slammed for making anti-Semitic comments online and in interviews. How do you feel about Kanye? How would you approach this situation? Because now Balenciaga has officially severed ties with Ye. Gap and Ye had creative disputes, but now Gap is probably like, yes, he is in the wrong. and his partnership with Adidas is under review by the defamation league, and is pushing the brand to end.
Well, as I think some advice heads listening would know, I ended up interviewing Kanye West.
Yeah.
At in one of my earlier podcasts.
Yeah.
And he talked about pretty much his artistic legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, the very best song I'll ever make is the last song I'll ever make, because he's always pushing to be better.
Yeah.
And I think if you hold him to accountability with that statement, this definitely isn't a good look for him.
No.
As the Jews are one of my favorite races in all of the races.
Okay.
One of my favorites, and I think Kanye making that statement is definitely not a good look for him, especially when well, you don't want to exclude anyone from your music, and excluding this whole group of people is a very negative and wrong look for him. And the companies like Gasp and Balenciaga are not they're right. They're in the right here. Kanye's making some poor choices. This is not a good look for him.
Yeah.
And so are you asking if I should give him what's some advice I'd give straight to Kanye if he was in the room?
If Kanye was on your podcast again, let time travel here. Okay. Hypothetically.
He blocked me on Gmail. He blocked me on Instagram.
Well, that's
Twitter.
why do you think? I think that's why he's acting up. That is why he's acting up. He doesn't have your presence in his life. He doesn't have a good role model figure. His mom died. His dad wasn't present. He needs a role model advice person, and you were kind of that person for the long time. And how would you, if Kanye's listening right now, what would you say to him, father to son?
Kanye, this isn't you. Stop what you're doing. Turn off your phone. Pray. And here's some advice from Jonah. Put down the phone. Look yourself in the mirror. Who do you want to be known? What do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known as the voice of a generation, Kanye Omari Wetz, owner of Gasp and Balenciaga? Or do you want to be known as anti-Semitic, similar to Hitler and Mussolini and other anti-Semitic people? Who do you want to be? Write that down in your diary and make changes now, starting today.
I don't think it's too late. I don't think it's too late for him.
To redeem him?
To redeem himself. I don't know if... What do you think? You think it's too late?
I think Kanye needs to take a walk in the park. It's what I always do when I get angry and stressed.
Yeah.
Pretty much after every show, that's what I do, because it's always some stupid guest decides to get angry at me or start arguing with me. Sorry to trauma dump on you.
No, I think I know.
But walks in the park are definitely a great stress reliever.
Yeah. But you had a kind of tussle with a guest. Can you kind of explain further to the audience of what happened?
Yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday.
Okay, Mason, if you're listening, listen up. You need to stop calling it into my show. Actually, let me acknowledge everyone else first.
Okay. Yeah.
Everyone else, yesterday on my show, the Jonah Keen Show, DePaulRadio.com, 3:30 to 4 p.m. CST on Thursdays. I accept call-in guests, and they ask for advice.
Yeah.
And Mason asked for advice how to fit in at a party and how to get the ball rolling.
Yeah. I
gave him some great advice, and I thought it was some great advice. He should have wrote it down, and then he hung up. And I was like, okay. And I continued on during the show.
Yeah.
And then Mason called in again, and he pretended to be someone else. And I caught him.
Did he use a voice changer?
No, he did the exact same voice.
Same voice, but different name?
He even said that his name was Mason. I said, are you the same Mason? And he went, And I went, I got you.
You got him.
And then I realized he was trying to prank me.
He tried to
He was
punk
trying to
you.
embarrass me on my own show. And so I said I was going to call the police. He was going to rot in jail. And I hope he does.
Yeah.
I hope he does.
Justifiably.
But pretty much, that's pretty much what happened. That was the tussle that happened. I got really annoyed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Like, you know, drink your water.
Thank you.
Yeah, you could relax. I know.
Thank you.
Yeah, things get traumatic. And Mason, if you're out there, you heard a very kind fellow. You heard
Mason. Next week when I do callers, I hope you call in again and make an apology.
Yeah, you better make an apology. That wasn't cool.
I demand an apology.
Yeah. But yeah, I think in the end, probably not too late for Kanye. I think you gave great advice to Kanye, but I think who you need to give advice to is Bill Murray, because Bill Murray has on-set allegations that continue to rock Hollywood, and he has a very long list of celebrity feuds. I'll give you one of them.
Please. I had no idea.
Yeah, Seth Green, like a former SNL homie person, alumni. Seth Green alleged that Murray dangled him by his ankles and dropped him in a trash can on the SNL set in 1981 when Green was 9 years old. That's one of them. And I quote, this is what he said: "I was screaming," he remembered, "and I swung my arms and flailed wildly, full contact with his balls, full contact. He dropped me in the trash can. The trash can falls over. I was horrified. I ran away, hid under the table in my dressing room, and just cried and cried." That end quote. So that's one of the instances. Another instance, Chevy Chase, and Murray got into a tussle like you and Mason. He said, at now 79, Chase, Murray said this: "Go F your wife. She needs it." During the divorce, a up and coming divorce that they soon later had. And then Chase just said, "Your face looks like something Neil Armstrong landed on," referencing the moon, or cheese specifically.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
These are, well, Bill Murray. I mean, I would give him advice, but I'm afraid my advice might get lost in translation.
Yeah.
With him.
With him?
Mm-hmm. And I know and in fact, if he were to attack me or whatever, these allegations, I think he'd have a Groundhog Day with me.
Yeah.
And attack me.
Yeah. Put you to the ground.
Yeah. He would in fact, I'd have a Ghostbusters afterlife.
Yeah.
And when it comes to advice, I feel like Bill Murray is kind of the Garfield of, Garfield hates Mondays. Bill Murray hates advice.
Okay. I see.
And even though I have a Space Jam with advice, I think Bill Murray he just wouldn't get it.
Maybe he needs religious help, like Saint Vincent or Paul or someone.
He needs one
Saint
of the
Jonah.
He needs one of the religious figures like Buddha and Zen and ASMR to approach him and hopefully change his life for the better.
The deities.
I think unlike Kanye, who I think I could reach out to and possibly help. Yeah. Bill Murray, I think it's a different story.
Is it too far off the rails?
From what I'm hearing, it's much worse than Kanye. Kanye's done, in my opinion, he's done some bad stuff, but Bill Murray has done the unthinkable.
And it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there because look, Gina Davis, which is his co-star on Groundhog Day, reported that, of course, he made her feel uncomfortable on Groundhog Day on the set, and also during the Arsenio Hall show for Groundhog Day, he tried to pull down the spaghetti strap on her dress multiple times. So, do you see Bill Murray kind of like in a new light? Because personally, I have. Like, I cannot watch Ghostbusters without thinking like, is he gonna dangle that little kid that he just walked by, and feed him to the Marshmallow Man, or, it's. I'm actually happy when they kill Bill Murray in Zombieland. I'm actually like, yes,
What?
but I used to be in grief.
Well, I haven't. I was gonna go see Zombieland this weekend. I've never seen it
Oh.
before.
Oh,
He dies in that?
maybe. I'm not.
You just said he did.
I'm not gonna disclose that to
Why did
save
you
you.
spoil it for me?
I'm sorry.
On your own show, you bring me on. I said yes, free of charge, and then you spoil a movie I was going to go see this weekend, which I actually had to pay money to go see, which I think is a ripoff.
Hmm.
Movies should be free.
Like insurance.
Exactly. And you, well, stop agreeing with me. You, why don't you spoil Zombieland for me on your own show? This makes you look like a horrible person, similar to Bill Murray.
I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the critically acclaimed Zombieland with Michael Cera. I'm talking about Zombieland Double Tap 2, which is not even like released yet. I don't think until 2015 it'll release. So I think I got you. Like,
no,
we're good.
well, I was going to see the whole franchise.
The whole franchise,
Uh-huh.
even like the abridged Zombieland.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't ruin the essence.
It's
of
kind of a movie marathon of sorts. We were going to watch Zombies, World War Z, Day of the Living Dead, and then Zombieland 1, Zombieland 2.
Wait, hold on. Before you list them off, you have to start with the essentials, Jonah. Coco, the Book of Life. These are all rooted in Mexican heritage. Dia de los Muertos invented zombies.
I don't know anything about this. My friend recommended that I go see the movies.
Yeah.
And where I'm lacking is movie advice. And
Movie
so I
advice?
said, yes, I'll watch some movies and hopefully gain some more knowledge when it comes to movie advice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're lacking in movie advice.
Well, don't tell anyone this because
I won't.
life is full of questions that need to be answered, and sometimes you don't have the advice. Like, there's so many things that can happen in someone's life.
Mhm.
I don't have the advice for everyone and for every question, but I'm almost there.
You're
There's
almost
just
there.
a few corners I need to get done, including movies. I'm a little behind on movies.
Yeah.
I need to establish all my movie expertise, including zombie movies,
Mm-hmm.
ghost movies. I haven't seen Ghostbusters or The Exorcist or any of those ghost or demon movies.
Demon movies.
I haven't seen any water movies,
Okay.
and I haven't seen any what
Oh no, I know the final one. Rom-com movies. Rom-com movies.
No, I've seen no.
You seen rom-coms?
I found it.
Live action plays.
No. It is biography pictures. So when they make a movie about
How can you make a movie about
David
a picture?
Bowie. That's what I said, but apparently it's true. They can make a movie about a picture. And they're gonna
One
be
singular
doing it.
picture, you can make a 60-minute or 90-minute feature film.
Apparently, I still need to cover that ground, so I can't really talk a lot more about it. But
Okay.
I will eventually cover that.
Well, yeah, but it's too late for Bill Murray. No redemption arc.
No, definitely not. I think his life here will be a complete hellhole, and he will burn.
Burn. Okay. I agree. I think he's gonna perish very soon, unfortunately. Kanye, I think possibly salvageable. Hopefully he's listening in. Now
Kanye, unblock me on Twitter, on Instagram,
Unblock
on
Jonah.
YouTube, on email,
Unblock
and
Jonah.
if you could send me your address, I have a few letters and cards I'd like to send to you.
See how nice that is? Jonah, of course, thank you for coming to the show of mine here, the N.H.K. It's kind of like a a stepping stone moment for me. I'm very honored. As always, I'm very thankful. I'll always remember you in this moment. The gratitude just it fills me to the brim. And any last words for the audience here?
Well, last words for you. Thank you for having me. Those are some very warm words, and I really appreciate it. It warmed my heart, and it feels really good to hear that, especially with how dark my life has been recently.
Yeah.
We've got into a little bit. But when it comes to advice for the audience or last words, I'd say here's some simple advice. Love your neighbor as thyself. And it says that in the Quran and the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
and soon to be my advice book, which is coming out hopefully in January. So mark your calendars.
Do you have a name for the book yet?
I'm calling it Advice and then an exclamation point. So AVDICE exclamation point.
Nice. Well, that's all the time we had today. Thank you, everyone listening in, and I will see you on the same time next week.
Bye bye, everyone.